During pre-colonial period, early period thousand years ago, the early Filipinos were composed of different groups that came from different parts of Asia. With different groups, they formed their own community, system of education, and religious belief. They group into different communities composed of 50 to 2,000 individuals, and they construct their shelters in different areas according to their lifestyle and source of living. Usually, they were situated along the seashores, streams, river, forests, fertile land areas, and even in caves. In water areas, they look for fish, shells, and pearls as their source of living. They also use boat and craft as their means of transportation for an easier travel and carrying their goods from trade from one place to another. For those people located in land areas, they cultivate the land and plant rice, bananas, and crops. After the harvest, they no longer use the area indeed. They just move to another place with less grass and fine soil, and abundance of trees where they can start farming again. Perhaps this gives an idea that the Philippines is very rich of resources of bountiful living.
The history of the Philippines from 1565 to 1898, also known as the Spanish Colonial Period, was the period during which the Philippines were part of the Spanish Empire as the Captaincy General of Philippines within the Spanish East Indies. On that period, there was a story entitled as Dead Stars by Paz Marquez Benitez. Dead stars means memories of the past, that people sometimes look at it for a while and realize that it has already been dead, already vanished. The story was told in the third-person point of view. The author played as a storyteller in the short story. Still on Spanish Colonial Period, period of emergence. From 1920 to 1930. Jose Garcia Villa in Footnote to Youth by Jose Garcia Villa. Dudong asserts his supposed maturity and marries Teang at the age of 17. He thinks they are old enough to take on this responsibility, but after they have several children, they both bemoan the dissolution of their youth and the dreams that came along with it. Note to Youth is the title of the story. It is said that it is a footnote to youth because it is a brief reminder for the Filipinos, especially the youth, of what a real life could be today. It also indicates the sources or the causes why youth act this way.
Japanese occupation of the Philippines occurred between 1942 and 1945 when Imperial Japan occupied the Commonwealth of the Philippines during World War II. Japan occupied the Philippines for over 3 years. Until the surrender of Japan, a highly effective guerrilla campaign by Philippines resistance forces controlled 60% of the islands, mostly jungle and mountain areas. So MacArthur supplied them by submarine and sent reinforcements and officers. Filipinos remained loyal to the United States, partly because of the America's guarantee of independence and also because the Japanese had spread large numbers of Filipinos into work details and even put young Filipinos women into brothels. General MacArthur kept his promise to return to the Philippines on 20 October 1944. The landings on the islands of Leyte were accompanied by a force of 700 vessels and 174,000 men. Through December 1944, the islands of Leyte and Mindoro were cleared of Japanese soldiers. During the campaign, the Imperial Japanese Army conducted the suicidal defense of the islands. Sites such as Manila were reduced to rubble. Around 500,000 Filipinos died during the Japanese occupation period.
The post-war period, or the period of the Philippine Republic. 1946 to 1972. It is marked a struggle of mind and spirit. This period is called the rebirth of freedom. It is where the first republic was established. The genre that are evident in this era are novel, poetry, and short stories. The themes that are commonly used and are romanticism, nationalism, independence, nature, and expression of feelings. Some of the famous writers are: Number 1. Macario Pineda. One of his famous work is the novel Ginto sa Makiling. This is the first novel that is published in 1946 after the World War II. Number 2 is Stephen Haveliana. He published his work Without Seeing the Dawn in 1947. It is all about World War II, and from the story, it has two parts, the day and the night. The day and the night symbolizes the experience of Filipino during the World War II.
Bigfoot. In North American folklore, Bigfoot or Sasquatch are said to be hairy, upright walking, ape-like creatures that dwell in the wilderness and leave footprints. Depictions often portray them as a missing link between humans and human ancestors or other great apes. They are strongly associated with the Pacific Northwest, particularly Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. Northern California and individuals claim to see the creatures across North America. Over the years, these creatures have inspired numerous commercial ventures and hoaxes. The plural nouns Bigfoots and Bigfeet are both in use. Folklorists trace the figure of Bigfoot to a combination of factors and sources, including folklore surrounding the European wildman figure. Folk believe among Native Americans and loggers and the cultural increase in environmental concerns. A majority of scientists have historically discounted the existence of Bigfoot, considering it to be a combination of folklore, misidentification, and hoax rather than living animals.